How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Vanda. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining me today. I
I
wanted
appreciate the
to
invitation.
I wanted you to tell me what happened with a client that you were representing. You had told me a little bit about it, but I kind of wanted to get the full story. And from what you told me is good information that all real estate agents should know and the benefits of having a realtor in their back pocket. So I'm Vanda Crossley with EXP Realty, and I have my counterpart, Barbie Hawkins, who's also one of my accountability partners with EXP Realty. And so she was going to share with us her experience recently with a contract that she had. So go ahead, Barbie.
Well, again, Vanda, thanks so much for having me. And this experience that I had just a couple of days ago pretty much solidified how important it is to be very familiar with your contract and build your confidence. If you're super familiar with something, you're going to be confident. You know what you know. So my experience, this happened. My client, I'm on the buyer's side. My client was trying to do a for sale by owner on his own. He and the seller, they didn't want realtors involved. Well, as Texas realtors, we know that a buyer at any point of the process can elect to have representation. Well, after 3 months of trying to get this done on their own, my client reached out to me, just a random call. He just called me and says, hey, and he explained the whole deal. And I said, okay, great. I'll be happy to help you. And I'm thinking in my mind, okay, this is a real quick, cut and dry FSBO. It's a wrap, or for sale by owner, as we know that terminology to be. So fast forward, this was in October. They'd already been working on it for 2 months. So he contacted me in October. So now here we are in December.
Wait,
we're still
2 months. The sale
Yes.
by owner is supposed to be quick. You can
Yes.
close in 30 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's another thing too. When you think it's going to be quick and easy, sometimes it's not. So 2 months he was trying to do this on his own. And then I get involved in October. Boom, we're going to get this all over with in just a little while. And that didn't happen. We were supposed to close on November 15th, and that did not happen. Sent in amendments and all of that. The seller did not sign any of it, anything. So now we're out of contract. And yeah. And then finally an attorney that they had to review some of the contracts sends me an email and says, hey, we still want to move forward with this, but I need proof that my client is not going to have to pay any fees. And of course, I went through the whole thing and, hey, this is a typical for sale by owner. I already know my client has a buyer's representation agreement with me. He's already made it clear he's going to pay my fees. I've expressed that in a previous email, blah, blah, blah.
So for sale by owner is going to pay your fee of 3%, which normally it would be 6%, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, but you agreed to just 3% for the buyer.
Right. So okay. My client and we negotiated a fee and he was okay with it. So she just did not understand what was happening. And so I returned an email stating that, hey, we need to get something solidified here, because if you take a look at page 7 on the contract that we sent, section 15, you're in default. And what did I say that to an attorney for? So she basically let me have it and told me that I was, she's like, you're trying to practice law. And I explained to her that wasn't the case. I was just going by the contract. So the reason why I was able to have that conversation with her confidently is because of this contract. In the beginning, I read this contract from beginning to end, every single word, every single day. So I knew where we were at the point when we were out of contract. And the other thing that she was browbeating me about, the attorney, was proving that her client did not have to pay fees. And I was like, you have that with this registration agreement. Okay, that is a must-have with all FSBOs for sale by owners, because without that, you can't guarantee that you're going to be paid by anyone, whether it's your client or the seller. And it clearly marks out who does what, who gets paid what, and who's paying what. And so that's basically in a nutshell of what my big experience with for sale by owner with an attorney that technically isn't representing the seller. So they just had them to review the documents, but this attorney, as it turns out, I'm pretty sure is not a real estate attorney, because the contracts that we all use in Texas are drafted by a team of attorneys.
Right.
So that's that. I hope that all makes sense.
Yeah. So you went, say toe to toe with an attorney because she was trying to cut you out of the deal, but you had an agreement with the buyer that he was going to pay you. So it shouldn't have mattered whether you were in the deal or not.
Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the big heated conversations along the way in this process, because she basically tried to fire me. And I was like, look, I have an agreement with my client who is the buyer, and he has a right to be represented. And she absolutely insisted that the transaction needed to take place without realtors involved, because that's what the two parties agreed upon in the beginning. And I just stood my ground and just had to let her know that my client has a right, as any buyer in the state of Texas, they are welcome to, hire representation at any point in the process, because it's in their best interest. And the whole point of me getting involved was because a lot of the documents weren't sent in, or they were trying to get the initial 1 to 4 contract signed before I got involved.
They were trying to take 3 months for that.
And and they could not. And then when they finally sent me copies of what they needed done, of the contract that they were trying to work with, it was not executed, of course, because they hadn't signed off on it, but there were pages missing. There were like 3 pages missing. And so, this is the other thing. When I sat down and talked with my client and explained the entire process, he was impressed with the fact that I knew what to do and how this was supposed to work. And he understood why it wasn't moving forward the way they were working on it. I explained what was happening. And sometimes some clients, you can never give them too much information.
Right.
And especially in this case. And I tend to kind of go overboard sometimes when I'm explaining things to people, I guess, as you can see here. But I just don't want there to be room for anyone to misunderstand what's happening. And so that even solidified my relationship with my client even further, because basically I knew the contract.
You knew what addendums needed to go with it.
Yes.
You have the seller's disclosure that have to go with it. If the house was built around 1978, you got the lead-based paint addendum.
And unfortunately, this particular type of attorney didn't know all of this. And I just had to flat out say to her, listen, your client, the seller, is benefiting from my expertise as well as my buyer, because I'm explaining all of this stuff to you. And whether I am involved or not, whether you have a real estate agent or not, all of these forms in Texas are required on a resale, period. You're going to have to do all of these forms.
Right.
So.
And she didn't know that.
And she did not know
a real estate attorney.
Exactly. So.
Wow, that's awesome. You did a great job. So where are you in the steps with this transaction?
Oh, we are now scheduled to close in another couple weeks, just to give everybody time to kind of gather themselves. Or actually, the lender. This thing is strung out so long that they had to redo their finances. My client did.
Oh,
So.
wow.
Yeah. So now we just got to get back in the queue with the process with the lender. And so we just gave an extra 10 days. So I have all of my amendments signed. I have of course, the contract was executed. So got everything moving, the disclosures, everything is moving right along. At this point, we're just waiting in queue with the lender. So we may even close sooner than we planned. But that's where we are. So it's going to be a positive outcome. And I didn't assure 100% my client of that, but I did tell them to just kind of hang tight, be patient, and we'll get it worked out. And I also set them up that if by chance it does not work out, there are other options. So we were ready to pull the trigger on something else if this didn't go through.
Well, good. And your client is living at the house, so that makes it
good.
They don't have to go stay at a hotel or anything like
that. Exactly. It's actually a situation where the seller, the buyer, my client, is purchasing from his landlord. He's purchasing the home that he's lived there for several years. So that's basically how it's working out.
Great. So. Well, great. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are being helped by this. So if you're a sale by owner and you don't know all the documents, it's best to contact an agent to have them help you. I know you don't want to pay those fees, but at least pay 3% so that, everything will go along smoothly and everything is legal and above board.
Yes, absolutely. That's great advice. I believe aside from the 1-4 contract, the super most important document after that contract in a FSBO is that registration agreement between broker and owner. This document you must have, like that.
What is that one called?
It's called registration agreement between broker and owner. It's a Texas Realtor document, TXR 2401. You definitely need to have that because that clearly states out who is paying what. There's a portion, the part in there, part 6, where it talks about broker fees, and it gives you, it's right there. You check which box. The seller is paying it all, the buyer is paying it all.
Awesome. Did I lose you? Look like you froze up. Uh-oh, Barbie. Barbie, did you freeze up? Well, she's frozen. So I will definitely post her information here if anybody wants to get in touch with her. Barbie services the Woodlands, North Houston area, Woodlands, Conroe. Are you back, Barbie? Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
I'm here.
Okay, I had lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think it's probably me. But my point was making sure to get a buyer's representation agreement as well, because you don't want to do all of this type of legwork and in the end, the buyer walks away or they decide to do something else with it. You have to make sure that you are covered for compensation as well as your clients are covered to have representation. So
okay, awesome. That. Thank you. Anything else you want to add?
That's it. I appreciate you taking time to do this with me today.
I appreciate the information because that's some information I didn't know. I have never done a for sale by owner, so I'll be sure and add that to my my zip forms documents and make sure I have that document in there.
Yes.
There's so many forms out there. It's impossible to
I know
until you get ready to get into that
you do it. Yes.
transaction.
And that's why it's good to kind of help each other out and have that. I am so glad that we're accountability partners. I respect you in the way you handle your business. And, and I'm a firm believer that if one person knew it all and could do it all, the rest of us wouldn't be here. So,
That's true.
So, I mean, you know a lot that I don't know. There's parts of this contract that I do that you taught me. About the numbers where the blanks are, not just putting non-applicable. If a number is supposed to be there, put 0.00. That's from Vanda.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Barbie. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Vanda. Appreciate
how
you.
can we reach you if we need you to service the Woodlands, Conroe, North Houston?
Well, the quickest and the easiest way to get a hold of me is through Instagram. I'm Barbie the Realtor on IG. And if you want to email me, I'm barbieofconroe@gmail.com. And then, of course, you could do the text or phone call at 936-701-0920. 936-701-0920.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Barbie the Realtor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Vanda.
Have a great day.